Hello, everybody, and welcome to the latest in the series of Niwa author interviews. Today, I'm joined by mystery suspense writer Heather Ames. And hello, Heather. Let's see, your most recent book, Trick or Treat or Trick or Truth. Same of the book. It's the fourth book in the Ghost Shop series. Is that correct? And can you tell us a little bit about that series?
Yes, I'm glad to do that. And you're not the first person that's called it trick or treat. My next door neighbor, I gave her the book. I always do because she cat sits for me. So I give her books. And she said her husband was like, "What's the matter with you? You can't find your trick or treat book." And she's like, "It's not trick or treat, it's trick or truth."
Right.
If it had come out around the Halloween, that may have been more than a problem, but it didn't come out until December. So I started writing the first book in that series as a standalone many years ago. I don't want to age myself, although I could easily, by saying when I started it. And I wanted to do something different. I was trying to go ahead and break into the romance industry, and all I kept hearing was that my books were too scary for our readers, too edgy, too this, too that, and they weren't hitting the mark. Although I could write to the formula and they couldn't find anything wrong with that. But I just didn't like where I had it set. And I wasn't really, I was like 10 chapters in and I really couldn't feel the characters. And so I put it away. When I moved to Portland, let's see, I had it set up in Seattle because we were thinking of moving up there and we had friends up there. So that didn't, neither the move happened and neither did the book come to anything. So it sat in my, everybody that writes has that drawer in the filing cabinet with all these half finished or partially finished things that they drag out every now and again and think, well, could I do something with it? So when I moved to Portland, I tried to set it in Portland and it still wasn't doing it. And when I moved to Salem, I went to Riverfront Park and took a walk and realized that that was where the opening premise was. And that was when I'd taken a trip on the stern wheeler that's anchored at the dock and found out that the Willamette River is only 5 feet deep in some places. And yeah, see, my
Oh,
reaction
wow.
was the same as yours. I was
I didn't know.
shocked because it looks way deeper than it actually is. I think sometimes I'm worried that the stern wheel is going to run aground somewhere.
Right.
So when we came back from there, I thought, oh, this is really where I want to set this book. So then I really got serious about it. I changed the last name of one of the main characters. The other one was fine, although the critique, I've got two members of the critique group that we've constantly been going for, I think, now probably 15 to 20 years. We had a couple of other members that drifted in and out, but one of them, she was like, I don't like his name. He's too much of a romance hero. And I was like, he really isn't. So, because he doesn't use his full name and he came from, an Ivy League background. And so I left his name the way it is. And actually, everybody likes it now. So, but they were like, it's getting there, but we still don't like it that much. So then I tweaked it more and I sent it off again. And then they were still like, yeah, we don't like it again. And then finally I got it settled. And they were like, you know what? Actually, we really do like this now. So then I continued writing it and I finished it in really pretty fast time once I really got into what I was doing. And then I realized about halfway through it that instead of writing mainstream mystery suspense with an edge like I usually do, this was a horse of a different color, and it was actually a cozy mystery series. So, but it had the paranormal twist to it. And actually, when I tell people about that now, that's actually a bigger selling point because it kind of bridges or crosses over between mysteries and paranormals. It's not scary, although it's got some potential. I mean, it can be as scary as you want to make it, but it's not something that's going to go ahead and move into the horror genre and keep you up all night. And people really like that too. So, of course, once I'd written that book, then I realized the potential to go forward and make it into a series. And it's actually the most much more, like 5 to 1, more popular than my other series that I dearly love, which is a mainstream mystery suspense series set in Miami. It's that local.
Yeah.
I think it's the local draw. So I've set each book in a different place. So book 1, Salem, book 2 is Independence, book 3, Dallas, book 4, Staten, and book 5 that I'm writing now is in Silverton.
So are those books, are they all connected as part of one series, or or like, how are they connected? Are they one continuous story, or can they
No,
be read individually?
they're all the same characters, and they actually, halfway through the book, this really creepy guy came into the metaphysical shop that she inherited when her friend passed away, and made them an offer that it was very difficult for them to refuse, because it would solve a huge problem by enhancing their skills. But it came with a very big price tag that they had a lot of trouble deciding whether if they really could commit to going ahead and doing this. So as a result of what they did, then they've gone ahead and connected themselves to this guy with this contract that they have to fulfill. And if they don't, they lose their souls.
Oh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I gave them, they tell you to
Big
make
incentive.
it something big.
Yeah.
It's just really something big. So each of the books is it's a separate case that they have to solve, and he keeps going ahead and messing with the contract. He messes with the timeline. He tells them they've got a week to solve it. He tells them they've got a weekend. He's given them enhanced skills, but what he's expecting from them, and with her, she's more willing to try to bargain with him than her partner, Ash. He's very grounded, and she's learning to go ahead and cope with a gift that she didn't want and never expected. And she's trying to go ahead. He pushes it. I think one of my critique group partners, she said he's pushing it as far as he can possibly push it as a guy, but for her, she can kind of push it a little further, but nobody's sure why she can do that and what are going to be the ramifications of it. So as the characters develop and the storylines develop, and they're coping with a bigger and bigger end issue. They're down now to, I think they had 6 cases in the beginning to solve, and next book is book 5. So they're getting close to fulfilling that contract, but is he going to twist something, or are they going to find that they actually enjoy what they're doing and helping people to solve these unsolvable crimes, that perhaps they'll go forward and do more? So a lot of it depends on that, because now people are so into the series, I'm getting requests to set it somewhere. Can't you come to Dayton, says their new city manager when I was there.
Nice. That's a great position to be in.
Yeah, I know. And the Staten book, people have been waiting for the Staten book for 2 years. I was at the state fair last year, and this man came and he said, my wife sent me here. I've got to pick up the Staten book. And it's like, I'm so sorry, it's not ready. Oh. So he signed up for my newsletter, and either they'll have picked it up already or they'll catch me at another event.
Right. Yeah. Oh, I should set one in Eugene at some point then. One down. Let's see. So you also have another series, the Swift and Robert series, which is mystery and not paranormal. And you said that one's set in Miami?
It is predominantly set in Miami. I've never lived in Miami, but I had my ex's sister lived there for a long time. And I have very good friends that still live down in Fort Lauderdale area. So I've gone to Miami quite a lot. And each time I go, I talk my friends into going ahead and driving me around and showing me, so that I've got updates of things. But I try not to go ahead and be really specific about things because places change, things open, things close. So I've used a boat in a marina, a fictitious marina, for him, and I move her around apartments, and I never say exactly where they are. So that covers me for that. But that was actually one of the last rejections that I had from Harlequin. The editor in chief actually told my agent at the time that it was too scary for our readers. And that was kind of when I got the idea that I didn't belong in there. I should try to go do something else. So when the small EPUBs began to really get popular, I submitted it and it was instantly published. They sent me a contract like within a week and said, yes, we want it.
Oh,
And
wow.
then they sent me a contract for the second one. And then they slowly went out of business.
Oh,
And I got my rights back. And that's when I was in the middle of getting another book ready for them, which is the big standalone that I have, Night Shadows. And I just said, oh my God, what am I going to do? I've got people that are waiting for this book and I don't have it. So that's when I went ahead and took the plunge and jumped in the deep end and self-published actually 3 books in 1 year, because I got the
oh,
rights back to another one, and I had to go ahead
right,
and scramble because suddenly I had nothing for sale. I had no
right.
physical books. I had no ebooks except one that was left after this.
Wow.
It was like a wasteland by the time that everybody had bought each other out and gone out of business, because the biggest company, kept gobbling the small ones up and then got in financial trouble because their biggest readers realized that they could self-pub and they didn't have to go ahead and give the publisher part of their earnings. They could do it themselves. So when that realization came, that's when all these small EPUBs collapsed, because all their biggest authors started self-publishing and took all their readers with them. So I was a very small fish in that pond, but I just went ahead and jumped feet first in, and from then on, that's what I do. That's when I became an indie.
So you've worked, aside from writing, you've worked in healthcare, including as a medical examiner, right?
Oh
For
no,
POAs in ER?
I worked in an ER. Might as well have been the medical examiner. No, I just
Oh,
no. We got to do all the nasty stuff, which was to make reports for the medical examiner by talking to families who had just lost somebody in their lives, and we had to go ahead and go back and make clothing lists and take all of the personal items, money, etc., off the dead bodies that came in. And you had to go ahead. It's amazing where people were shoved money. You have to go ahead and get their socks off, their shoes off. Every pocket has to be gone through. They tuck it inside things. Yeah, I mean, when your clothing list does not, involve you standing across the room and staring at them. And most of them, nobody gave us gloves in those days. We had to handle people. So I really have seen more traumatic deaths than your average person.
oh. And you've also been a witness at a murder trial too.
I was, and
That was
that was somebody. This 2-year-old came in that supposedly had drowned in a bathtub eating cereal, and his parents came in, and I took all of this information down from them, and then it turned out that the child had not just asphyxiated on cereal. Plus, he had a big bruise on his head. It was just really awful.
oh,
And so, yeah, I got called, and so did one of the other clerks in the office, because she was in there at the same time I was and observed everything. In fact, she was a better observer than I was, because I had to go ahead and talk to these people and be very careful about what I said, because as you take reports like that, you learn to be really careful. So you get as much information as you can without going ahead and stirring things up. But Working
Right.
in the ER was actually the most exciting job I've ever had. All of the detectives used to come in and tell us about stuff. And it was like one that was like, remember that guy that got shot 17 times behind the Kmart? It was Sears building downtown. It was
Oh,
in North Carolina. And they would give us reports, we got so and so, or we haven't, have you got any more leads on that one? No, not yet. Yeah. And so
oh,
it
wow.
gave me all of that really good information that I can use now. I then when I went into school, we did look at people and surgeries, and then we dissected cats. We didn't have the money in the
Oh,
school that I was at. Those bodies just to get the to go ahead and get the tank that the body comes in is $10,000, and then you have
oh,
to
wow.
pay for the bodies. So the college that I was going to did not have money for that. So we actually went over and watched an autopsy elsewhere.
Mm.
And then when I was in Boston, and I was a member of Mystery Writers, we got to go ahead and tour the morgue there, and the medical examiner went ahead and took us with slides right through a case. That was really interesting too. So all of that, I absorb it and then I use it. So yeah, I do have some kind of feet on the ground, living
Oh,
vicariously knowledge that a lot of people don't have.
right. And I guess that really helps when you're writing the mystery sections of
Yeah,
those. Yeah.
yeah,
So I
yeah.
can do
Without
that.
hitting people over the head, you don't want to give them too much information.
Right. Yeah. So, okay. So you mentioned you're working now on a fifth book in the Ghost Shop series.
Yes,
Is
set
okay.
in, set in Silverton. I did have a premise for the Dayton book, but Dayton is so small. They don't have a bookstore. They don't even have a grocery store. So,
Hmm.
and one of the residents told me last year that she still felt like a newbie and she'd been there for 30 years. So I was like, whoa, this is really kind of a close community. So if I do write that book, I am going to have to go ahead and kind of weave McMinnville into it. I'm thinking I might use the UFO Fest as a
Oh,
backdrop. So that may come next. But yeah, with the Silverton book, I set it in Silverton. I've gone and started to do some research trips over there. Takes me, 3 or 4 research trips to really hone in on what I'm going to use and what but I do have like where the actual crime happened. Usually these people come in after a while after the crime has happened. So everything's all cleaned up and everybody's
oh,
like halfway normal, if you can say that somebody that's been involved with a murdered relative or friend is ever normal again. Um,
right.
and these are all unsolved crimes and that are difficult to go ahead and solve. And so she's able to go ahead and use her insight from her psychic abilities, where her partner is a retired police detective, but in robbery. I didn't want to put him in homicide. The other series, he's an active detective in homicide who moves up the ladder slowly and becomes a lieutenant by book 4. So that way I could go ahead and have Ashes retired in the Ghost Shop series and had moved to Salem to be closer to his daughters and, was kind of at a loose, not a loose end exactly, but, ready for something more interesting than just hanging out in his cottage. So now he has a real big job again.
Oh, very cool. So yeah, looking forward to all those. So you are also a member of Niwa, and that's the Northwest Independent Writers Association. Can you tell us how long you've been a member and what sort of resources you found through them and how that's helped you?
Yeah, I can't remember when I joined them. I know I joined after Molly Hunt, one of our other fellow members, because I asked her, how is it? Is it any good? And she said, oh, yes, they're really helpful. And this was after I had gone ahead and started self-publishing, because when I moved up here from LA, I had publishers. I'd already got 2 publishers and 2 books under my belt. So I don't know exactly when, maybe 2011 or 12, something around in there. I'm also a member of Sisters in Crime. And so between the 2 of them, I joined one and then started looking at the Zooms, and the other one I was going to meetings. But I found that Niwa has really helped me in a lot of ways. I started doing a lot of events with them, which went ahead and gave me a lot of opportunities to talk to readers, not just about my book, but everybody's books, because, sometimes you've got like 60 titles on the table, to find out, try to get the best thing for somebody that they really like. And talking to them, you really find out what sells and what doesn't sell. You can learn from all your fellow writers, and people all have different strengths, and they can warn you off from doing something that is not going to go ahead and really help you out. And people are incredibly giving, I've found, in Niwa. I do everything for my books except format. I even tackle my covers. And Molly Hunt turned me on to using Book Brush, and the covers that I'm making through Book Brush are far superior to the ones that I was making through KDP. So, which is the self-publishing part of Amazon. I also found another formatter. I was using 2, and one retired, and then the other one disappeared last year. Said I've been in the hospital, but yes, send it over, I'm fine, and ghosted me. And so suddenly I didn't have anywhere to go ahead and get my book formatted, and that came through an offhand remark from a Niwa member that she formatted, and so I've been using her. So, whatever it is that you need, if you put it out there and say, I really need help with this, somebody in Niwa will usually help you or send you in the right direction to go ahead and get that help.
Yeah, I see that too.
So. Yeah, when I first started with Niwa, I had 1 book. Now I have 11. And I do my own events a lot more, actually, than I do with Niwa, because with 11 books, I can't put them all on the table.
Right. Yeah.
But I still do Niwa events and really enjoy them.
Yeah. Speaking of events, do you have any other upcoming events soon?
Yeah, I actually started off talking to 2 book clubs this year, which is something that I haven't done for a long time. I had 19 people reading Tap by Fate. That was kind of a crazy meeting. Oh. Thanks to somebody I met through a book club in Portland that I was moderating a few years back. So that was January. And then right after we had the author fair out in Lebanon, at 5:00, I had a meeting with another book club in Salem, and they actually read my standalone romantic suspense, the only one that I have that's a romantic suspense, All It Glitters. And so they were a much smaller group, but I had a good time with them. I did the Lebanon Authors Fair with you, and now my next one is Words and Wine, which will be at the winery. Hip Chicks Do Wine, and that is on the 14th of March. Yeah, on the 14th. And I've been accepted. Well, actually, I got pre-approved for Englewood Forest Festival, and they're celebrating their 100th anniversary, I think, this year. They're very tough to get into. And so I'm very glad that they said, we want you, just come. And then I'll be doing Dallas Art in the Park. That's an early one. We have to go ahead and set up at 5:00 in the morning in the middle of August.
Oh, wow.
I think I wake up somewhere around 10 when the sun comes up. No, that
Oh,
opens from 8 to 3. So and I'm very appreciative of that, and so are the other vendors, because by the time it gets hot in the park, we're packing up and we're out of there because August is really hot. Um, let's see where, and I will.
yeah, and just real quick, so we've only got a couple minutes left.
Oh,
So
yeah. So
sorry, but
there are others, but yeah, last year I did
yeah,
20 events. So,
wow,
I'm always on the lookout for some good stuff.
right, okay, very cool. So real quick before we go, where can people find you? Do you have a website, and or are you on social media?
I'm
Well,
everywhere.
everywhere. Okay.
But yes, I do have a website, heatherames.weebly.com.
Right.
And that will link you through to my events. I'm on Facebook, Heather Ames Writer and Heather Ames. So I tried to separate them. So my professional page is Heather Ames Writer.
Okay.
Somewhere along the line, I got linked up with Niwa with Heather Ames. So I try not to go ahead and
Oh,
post events on that one.
right.
So yeah, I'm always available, and I'm always willing to, put myself out there, because that's the only way that you're going to go ahead and gain readership.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much. And those links will be in the video description. And so we've got about 30 seconds left. So do you have any last words before we go?
Oh, I hope
Sorry.
everybody has a very good year, writing and reading. And I look forward to seeing a lot more of my readers in the future. And thank you so much, Pat. This has been a
Yeah.
really good chat.
Well, thanks.